So, this session is mainly aimed at helping the new aspirants to know the basic definitions of different terms and concepts of all the subjects. Let us start this session with the chapter on inflation. What is inflation? So, let us try to understand the basic definition of inflation, a common topic that we normally see in everyday newspaper. So, here let us try to understand the basic meaning of inflation. So, inflation can be defined as a rise in the general level of prices. It is a rise in the general level of prices. It is a sustained rise of prices over a period of time, right? It is sustained rise of prices of goods and services, alright. So, first thing inflation means it is rise in prices, it is a rise in prices, a general rise in prices, alright, over a period of time, on a given basket of goods and services. It is on goods and services, alright. So, this is how we can define inflation. So, inflation is a general rise in prices of goods and services over a given period of time, alright. So, according to Keynes, the causing factor behind inflation is the imbalance between demand and supply. That is, the rise in prices can be attributed, generally it can be attributed to the imbalance between the demand and the supply of goods and services. So, there are different other factors. So, here our intention is not to go into the details of this topic. Our intention is to know the basic meaning and definition of these concepts, alright. Now, going ahead, alright. So, that is a rise in price of one or two goods will not be called as inflation, right. So, rise in price of few goods can't be treated as inflation, alright. So, coming to other two terms, that is disinflation and deflation. Disinflation and deflation, which are opposite to what you call inflation, right. So, inflation denotes rise in prices, whereas fall in prices, right, right, they are denoted by disinflation and deflation, right. So, fall in general level of prices are called as disinflation and deflation, but there is again a difference between disinflation and deflation, right. So, if you take deflation always refers to a slowdown in the economy, an economy where there is no demand and where there is no supply, right. So, that means deflation denotes a recessionary trends of the economy. That is the reason why deflation is regarded as it is regarded or not considered to be a good. It is seen as a threat to economy. So, as it leads to a recession, right, it is not a good phenomena, right. That is what deflation, right. So, deflation is fall in prices caused because of slowdown in the economy, because of stagnancy in the economy, alright. That is what deflation is, alright. The other way is, that is the general fall in prices. It is termed as disinflation. So, we have seen what is inflation, alright. Opposite to them are disinflation deflation. All right. So both disinflation and deflation denotes fall in prices. All right, they denote fall in prices, whereas deflation, it is caused because of slowdown in the economy. Slowdown in economy. All right. This is the two terms. All right. Next, coming to the term of Phillips curve. All right. If you take this Phillips curve deals with the relation. It gives a relationship between inflation and employment. All right. So it gives a relationship between inflation and employment. All right. So according to Hugo Phillips, right, he has advocated a relation between inflation and, right, unemployment in the economy. So according to Hugo Phillips, there is an inverse relationship. There is an inverse relationship between inflation and unemployment. That is, inflation and unemployment are inversely related. Right? That means what? When there is high inflation, the unemployment comes down, and conversely, if the inflation comes down, the unemployment increases. So there is a trade-off relation between inflation and unemployment. All right. So this was observed. In 1960s, particularly in the North America, in Latin American countries, as well as in Mexico. It was in these countries. All right. There is a kind of inverse relationship that was found between inflation and unemployment. However, this Phillips curve was challenged by the modern economists like Milton Friedman. All right. All right, and Edmund Phelps both have challenged this Phillips curve, and they proved that, all right, the trade-off between inflation and unemployment is only seen in a short run. It is only seen in a short term, but in a longer term, there is a direct relationship between inflation and unemployment. That is, as inflation increases, the unemployment will also increase. So the Phillips curve was disapproved by Milton Friedman and Edmund Phelps. All right. So according to them, so as there is increase in inflation, the unemployment will increase to its natural rate. All right. So with increasing inflation, the unemployment will increase. The unemployment will increase to its natural rate. All right. So this is what proved by Milton Friedman and Edmund Phelps. So this is about Phillips curve, right? Phillips curve and criticism on Phillips curve. Let us now try to understand the definition of reflation. That is reinflation, that is increasing. All right. So reflation refers to a situation where government deliberately increases demand for goods and services so that the unemployment can be brought down. So with an intention of bringing unemployment. Governments deliberately will increase demand. So how this demand is created? All right. So these demands are created by going for higher expenditure. That is, government spends more, right? Government goes for higher public expenditures. Along with these higher public expenditures, tax cuts, right, cuts in the interest rates. That is, when there is tax cuts, when there are interest, when there is a cuts in interest rates, the availability of money in the market, the availability of money supply with the individuals will be more, and this money supply or the money that is available in the market and the individual will be used to consume. That is, thereby increasing the demand. So the demand is increased by increasing the amount of money supply in the markets, and this is done by cutting the taxes, that is reducing the taxes and reducing the interest rates, a common thing. And sometimes, right, sometimes there are instances where government increased money supply by going for printing of currency. However, printing of currency is not the wise decisions, because printing of currency will have an adverse effect. Particularly, again it will increase inflation. Not only inflation,